Fred Rowe from Sierra Bright Dot Fly Fishing Guide Service. I've been teaching, guiding, writing, and lecturing on fly fishing since 1982. Let's get to this week's fly fishing report for November 14th to the 20th. Well, back in the day, 31st of October, that was the end of the season. Now, the 15th of November is the end of the season. But really, for me, as a fly fisherman, it doesn't end. Yeah, there's a few waters like Crowley, it's closing on the 15th. So if you want to fish, you have through Saturday, the 15th, to get up there and fish it. No boats, but you can fish it from shore, okay? But almost all the running waters are open year-round, catch and release, barbless. And I'm good with that, because I really don't keep trout. I really don't eat them. So let's talk about trout. Let's go to the Upper Owens River. And what's that doing? Yep, over the weekend, lots of big fish were to be had. You had to move around. You had to find them, but they were there. And guess what else was there? Anglers, lots of fishermen. Yep, the word's gotten out. The weather's been absolutely great. Yeah, it was pretty crowded, but the guys that worked around and knew how to work their streamers or work their nymphs, they were getting the fish. And what do I mean by that? Well, what you want to do is find the deep holes, find the deep runs, find the cut banks where the big trophy trout, primarily rainbows and the occasional brown trout, are resting in those areas and they're feeding. And so by working my big flies and streamers through there, they're going to feed on those and I'm going to catch them. So what am I throwing? Well, for the dry flies, for the little fish, we're using Adam's parachutes and elk curcatuses in 18s and 20s. For the nymphs, we're using size 16 midges and size 18 beaded flashback pheasant tails and size 18 olive quilligons. And for the big fish, we're using bigger flies. So I'm using size 12s. I'm using the size 12 stoner nymph, the size 12 green gold wire prince nymph, size 12 gold ribbed hare's ear variations, and we're using size 14 copper johns. And then if you're streamer fishing, I'm using medium size 6, small size 10, and we're using a variety of streamers. I like throwing slump busters, matukas. I like using, what else do I throw for streamers? Woolly buggers, that's the other one. I knew I could think of it. All those olives and blacks and whites seem to work good up on the Upper Owens River. So the guys fishing the stoner nymph, several friends, client friends, cut fish, fishing stoners. A few friends that are fishing streamers, yeah, using white and using olive, they were getting big fish. So you just have to pick how you want to fish, what you want to do up there. Okay, let's head over to Hawk Creek. Trico hatch, yeah, you might see it, but I think it's pretty much done history for the year. But what are we getting? 9 o'clock-ish, look for the blueing olive hatch. So I start the morning off with a size 20 blueing olive parachute. And how are we going to fish that? Well, it's called a dry and a dry, or an indicator dry and a dry. So what we're doing, putting a bigger dry fly on and the tiny little dry that I can still see, but most of my clients, they can't see. And what am I fishing with? Well, I'm using a size 16 stimulator, Adam's parachute, elk curcatus, royal wolf. 3 feet below that on monofilament, usually 6X, maybe 7X, I'm fishing with what? Whatever's hatching. And right now, that's a bluing olive. So we're using size 20 bluing olive parachutes, size 20 bluing olive sparkle duns, and we're using size 20 bluing olives up there. Okay, in between, you can try nymphing. There's some big trout, big brown trout to be exact, in Hawk Creek. The water's real low, but if you can fish the right spots, there are a few big deep holes, strip those huge jointed, what we call type streamers in there, you might get one of those big fish to chase you, and better yet, you might hook one of them up. Okay, so where are we going next? Well, where we're heading next is we're gonna go over to Crowley Lake. I know we can't fish boats out there right now, but you can fish a float tube or you can fish from shore. And I have to admit, throwing streamers. I love doing it this time of the year. In fact, I just got something in the mail from a company called Postfly where they send you kits to tie flies. I can't wait to put that streamer together to go fish it. If I get enough time, I'm going to go fish it in Crowley before the 15th of November. So remember, you have till the 15th to fish on Crowley. Okay, let's head down the hill. So I told you Upper Owens was crowded over the weekend. Guess what? So was the Lower Owens. Why? Well, guys like me are telling you the weather's great, the fishing's great, we're catching lots of fish, fly clubs are coming up, people are coming up, want to learn how to fly fish. I had 3 beginners trips, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All different people, but everybody wants to know what's going on to learn how to fly fish. So if you want to learn, get a hold of me. But in the meantime, fishing is pretty good out on the Lower Owens River. And what are we doing out there? Yeah, there's some dry fly opportunities. If you want to fish a dry, middle of the day is when the mayflies are hatching. A size 20 is what I've been fishing with a blue wing olive parachute or a sparkle gun. Under the surface, I'm nymphing, and they've been clobbering my size 18 beadhead flashback pheasant tail and size 16 or 18 olive quilligon. And so that's what I've been nymphing with. But we've also been sneaking in, guess what? The midge patterns. We're using size 18 midges. I'm using the green gold wire brassy. Then I'm also using standard midges in tiger, zebra, and blood midge colors. Okay, where to next? Well, let's head out to my favorite Bishop Creek Canal. I've been in there and they stocked it, so I've been looking for the stockers because they're fun, and I've been playing around with the Takara rod out there. You have to be a little sneakier to fish out there. Water's dropped a little bit. Takara, I can't get as far away as I can with a regular rod to make the cast, but when I work it down in the seams between the weed beds and get my nymphs down on the bottom, those bigger rainbows are hitting. Man, have they been a blast on the Tenkara rod. And then I was out there teaching fly fishing yesterday, and in the end, there was a bunch of mayflies and midges coming off, and the little 8 to 10 inch rainbows and browns were taking dry flies. And what were they taking? They were taking a size 20 blue wing olive parachute and a size 20 sparkle dot and a size 20 Adams parachute. So I gotta tell you, fishing dry flies, there's no more fun than doing that. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is my tip of the week. And this week, what we're going to talk about is line control. So, question I get asked all the time as a fly fisherman: why do you get in the water? Why do you wait? Well, the answer is easy. I want to get in the water so I can get the best cast possible. Casting across the river, that means I have to mend the line and control the line. But if I can cast straight up or up and across, all I have to do is strip the line in. That's the easiest position for me to fish. That's the easiest position for beginners to fish. So yes, anytime I can get into a better spot to get a better drift, that's what I'm gonna do so I can get better line control. Well, this has been Fred Rowe from CR Bright Dot, bringing you this week's fly fishing report for November 15th through the 21st. So follow me every Tuesday at Mahogany Smoked Meats in Bishop from 9 to 11. And then you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and yes, my favorite, lpptv.us.